The moment you stop trying to make her stay is the moment everything begins to shift, not just for her, but for you. It's not about playing games, and it's not about manipulation. It's about energy, plain and simple. There's something powerful in realizing that you don't need to convince anyone to be in your life. When that clicks in your mind, your whole demeanor changes. You stop reaching out first. You stop sending those long paragraphs trying to explain yourself. You stop trying to prove why you're worth staying for, because deep down, you finally realize that your worth was never supposed to be proven to her in the first place. And here's what happens next. She notices. Not immediately, not all at once, but subtly, steadily. She feels the difference. The texts don't come like they used to. The good mornings are missing. The calls she used to ignore don't ring anymore. And suddenly, your absence is louder than your presence ever was. Not because you made some dramatic announcement, but because silence carries a weight that words never could. For the first time, she gets a glimpse of what life feels like when you're not orbiting around her. And whether she admits it or not, that feeling makes her pause. That's when the wondering starts. Not about you, but about herself. Did she misjudge you? Did she think she had you locked in, wrapped around her finger when really you were always willing to walk if it meant keeping your dignity intact? That's the shift. That's when the power dynamic flips. Not because you fought for it, but because you stopped fighting. You chose yourself, and that choice speaks volumes. That choice is when she realizes she never really had you the way she thought she did. When you start pulling back emotionally, something interesting happens. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle, almost invisible at first, but that's exactly what makes it powerful. The predictability she once counted on starts to slip through her fingers. You're no longer the one sending the first text. You're not double-tapping her posts or laughing at her half-hearted jokes just to keep the connection alive. That steady, eager energy you used to give her without hesitation is gone. And with that, you introduce something most men never give a woman when they like her: uncertainty. Women are drawn to mystery. Not because they want to be confused, but because curiosity is magnetic. When something, or someone, is fully known, fully predictable, it loses its spark. But when you change the pattern, when you stop being emotionally available on demand, she starts wondering. Not because you're punishing her, but because she's no longer sure where she stands with you. That's what gets her attention. She'll start paying attention to things she never noticed before. Your tone when you do respond, your timing, your absence. She'll replay conversations, wondering if she missed something. She'll check your stories, see who you're with, try to find signs of whether you've already started moving on. And here's the thing. It's not about making her jealous. It's about reclaiming your energy. You're no longer proving yourself. You're preserving yourself. And that shift, it creates space for her to start questioning, not just you, but herself. Did she take you for granted? Did she assume you'd always be there, ready to catch her no matter how many times she pushed you away? That curiosity, that uncertainty, that's where your power grows. Not by chasing, but by simply stepping back and letting your absence do the talking. As long as you're constantly available, constantly responding, constantly showing up, she will never fully feel what it's like to be without you. And if she never feels your absence, she'll never truly value your presence. That's the reality a lot of men don't want to face. They think that by being endlessly available, they're proving how much they care. But what they're really doing is making themselves ordinary, predictable, expected, easy to overlook. The truth is, nobody appreciates what they never have to miss. People don't crave what's always right there. They crave what they notice is suddenly missing. Detachment isn't about becoming cold or heartless. It's about creating contrast. Warmth only feels good because we've all felt the cold. Love feels rich when we've known loneliness. The same applies to your presence. When you're always there, always showing up with the same energy, she doesn't even have to think about what life would be like if you weren't. But when you pull back, not with anger, not with bitterness, just calmly and silently, that's when she starts to feel something different. She's left with a gap she didn't expect, where she used. To find you reassuring her, reaching for her, asking what's wrong, you're just not there anymore. And in that space, all the doubts she used to throw your way start reflecting right back on her. That's when she starts wondering if she pushed you too far. That's when the weight of her own choices starts landing on her shoulders. And the beauty of it? You don't have to say a word. You don't have to explain, justify, or argue. Your absence becomes the lesson. And in that silence, she'll either realize what she lost or make peace with letting you go. But either way, you've shifted the power by simply choosing yourself. There's a certain kind of strength that comes from being willing to walk away. Not as a threat, not as a strategy, but as a truth you carry within yourself. Most men don't realize it, but the real power in a relationship isn't about convincing someone to stay. It's about knowing you'll be good regardless of who stays or who leaves. When you're that man, you don't need to talk about it, you don't need to announce it, and you definitely don't need to fake it. It's in your presence, in your eyes, in the way you move. She can feel that you're not afraid of losing her, because you finally understood the deeper truth. You were never supposed to lose yourself in the first place. Women test men, not because they're cruel, but because they're wired to feel out your strength. And if she senses that you're scared to lose her, she will push. She'll test your patience, test your confidence, test your boundaries, just to see how much of yourself you're willing to give up to keep her. And most guys fold. They argue. They plead. They stay longer than they should, hoping to prove they're the one. But the man who truly respects himself doesn't play that game. He doesn't explain his worth. He simply stands firm in it. And when that moment comes, when she realizes that your love is not desperation but choice, that's when everything changes. She's used to men folding, not standing. She's used to apologies and begging, not quiet confidence. When you become the man who's not afraid to walk alone, you flip the script. Suddenly, she's not sure where she stands anymore, and that uncertainty forces her to face the one thing she didn't expect, the possibility that she might have just lost something rare. There comes a point where words don't matter anymore. You could write paragraphs, send long texts explaining how you feel, pour your heart out in every conversation, but none of it makes a difference if she's already made up her mind to overlook your value. That's why you have to stop explaining yourself to people who have decided to forget your worth. Instead of using words, use growth. Instead of pleading, evolve. Instead of chasing, build. Let your actions speak so loudly that your silence becomes undeniable. People can ignore what you say, but they can't ignore who you become. When you start to evolve in silence, everything about you begins to shift. Your focus sharpens. Your body, your energy, your mindset, they all start to level up. You're not just harder to reach physically, you become harder to reach mentally and emotionally. And the crazy part is you're not doing it to get a reaction. You're doing it because you're finally tired of playing small for someone who couldn't see your full value. That's when the tables turn. Now she's the one wondering where she stands with you. Not because you're playing games, but because you've finally stopped trying to prove anything. And that shift forces her to look inward. Was she the one who mishandled something good? Did she overlook a man who was really ready to show up for her? That's the power of stillness. That's the weight of your absence. Women don't respect what chases them. They respect what stands still, unbothered, unfazed, growing regardless of who's clapping for them. And whether she reaches out again or not doesn't even matter anymore. You're not chasing closure. You're not chasing validation. You're building a life so complete that whether she comes back or not, You've already won.